Hi there, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Alison, and this is my second video for my Mounjaro and type 2 diabetes journey. And if you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, then thank you so much for coming back to watch another video. I have had a roller coaster of a week, and I will tell you a little bit about the results in a minute. But first of all, I had an appointment with the diabetic clinic on the Friday before my new pen was due to be used, which I hadn't received a prescription for. I had an appointment on the phone. Everything went well. They told me that they'd referred it back to the GP practice and that they would be issuing the prescription for me, and that if I rang the GP practice, they would sort that out for me. So I gave it an hour, rang in. They said yes, that they'd got the information, and that they gave me a link to be able to email saying that I need my prescription. So I was very specific in my email saying that I needed the prescription for Tuesday because I didn't have any more Mounjaro, and that was the date that I was due to take my next injection. And everything seemed to be going fine. I wasn't staying at home last week, so I did decide to ring the pharmacy before I travelled all the way back home to get it. And they said, "Oh, we received the prescription from your GP practice, but then it was cancelled." And so I was like, "What does that mean?" And they're like, "We've no idea. You'll need to go and speak to your GP practice." So I rang my GP practice, and I was met with "Oh, well, you need to speak to a pharmacist first, and the first we can get you to speak to a pharmacist is the 5th of November, and which is today." And so I said, "But what am I meant to do in the meantime? I don't understand." And I was met with "I don't know," which I get. They're receptionists and they probably didn't know what I was meant to do, but that didn't really help me. Anyway, I kind of insisted on being able to speak to somebody, and I was spoken to later that day by a pharmacist from the practice, from the GP practice. And they told me, "Oh, I know the person that's dispensing. This has just been a mistake. I'll send them a message and they'll send it back. Call the pharmacy in a couple of hours and then you'll find out whether they've got it or not." So I did wait 3 hours, and it was quite late at night by this time. And they said, "No, we've not received it." So I waited till the next morning, phoned the pharmacy again. No, they still hadn't received it. So I called back to the GP practice, and they were like, "Oh, we can start the process again and it'll take 48 hours." And I was like, "But I was meant to have taken the drug already and I'm now not got it." And I just didn't really know what that meant. And the reason that I was so, I mean, I'm really quite an easygoing person, I think, in the sense that I don't like confrontation. And so I wouldn't normally do anything about this. But I'd had such a lecture from the doctor who prescribed the drug to me in the first place, saying you must take it on the same day at the same, roughly the same time every week. And so now I was a day after having meant to have taken it. And so I just wanted somebody to tell me that it's okay. I wasn't going to have to start again, or was I going to have a different dose? I just needed to know this information, and I was getting nowhere. So I felt really frustrated. And in the afternoon, I phoned the pharmacy yet again just to see, and there was still no response. And so by that time, my friend and my husband convinced me that I should really write a letter of complaint. Well, I was quite busy, so I went off and did the things that I needed to do. And then in the morning on the Thursday, when I felt that I was in a better frame of mind, I wrote an email to the practice manager. Not really, I mean, I was complaining, but I didn't mean it in a confrontational way. I felt unsupported. So I was on a drug that I don't know very much about, and I felt really unsupported. And, I needed to know what this meant for me. Was I going to get this drug prescribed to me? Or, was this just a one off thing? I just didn't know what was happening. And I felt really like I didn't know what to expect any longer. And of course, now I'm 3 days, so I'm on day 9 of my last dose. And so anyway, the practice manager rang me back very promptly and was very apologetic. And yes, it had been an administrative error and that they were really sorry. and that they were getting somebody to sort it now, and that it would be ready for me, and to give the pharmacy just an hour and to check with them. And I did, and it was there. They did have my prescription. They did have Mounjaro, because that had been another issue. The first time I got Mounjaro, I had to wait 5 days for them to get the drug for me. So they did have the Mounjaro, and I said to them, could you please just hold that one for me? I'm coming on my way home from work. So I went, picked up the prescription late afternoon, and took the injection that evening. And so I think, sorry, I think it was like, it was a bit stressful for me, but I felt like I dealt with it really well. I stuck to my calories. To be fair, I still wasn't super hungry. The doctor did tell me, because somebody did ring me back and explain that the Mounjaro would stay in my system for quite some time, but it would just be petering off. And so the effect would become less and less. So I was fine with that. And they said it's fine for you to move up to the next dose to 5 milligrams. And to take that, you don't need to go back to taking 2.5 again for 4 weeks. Everything will work fine. And to be fair, it has worked okay. So on Thursday last week, I took the 5 milligram injection, and I would say maybe 2.5 hours later, I felt like I had a stone in my stomach. I'd had a light meal just around the same time that I took the Manjaro, and it just felt so heavy, so full. I didn't feel nauseous or anything. Had a really incredibly dry mouth. And this week I'd say I've had quite a few headaches. However, I have also had an infection in my toe, which I was on an antibiotic cream with before, and that wasn't working. And so on Saturday I ended up starting a course of oral antibiotics. So I'm not 100% sure this week if my headache and the nausea, it's not really nausea, I kind of just feel queasy every now and again. I don't know if that's the antibiotics or it's the Mounjaro. So I can't really comment on any side effects. I have felt slightly more ill or off colour this week than I did in the previous 4 weeks. And as I said, I just don't know whether that's because I've increased the dose or if it is just antibiotics, and just a combination of things. I've been really busy running around all over the place. I was staying away at my friend's house sitting, and I've come back, and it's just been quite chaotic. So I don't know what it is, but I've got to the end. I'm going to do my next injection. So I'll be doing my second dose on 5 milligrams tomorrow. I've also just had a phone call from the doctors, from in-house pharmacist, just checking that I'm okay. So maybe complaining was a good thing, because now I'm getting quite a lot of attention. Just checking that everything's okay, and that I've booked in to have my HbA1c blood test done again on the 17th of November. And that will be 3 months from me having had it done in August. Now, I haven't been on Mounjaro for that length of time. I only started on the 30th of September. So it won't have been in my system long enough to have made a big impact, but I think it will make, I think there will be a difference. So my HbA1c, if that is what it's called, that blood test was 78. That's how high it was. So I think 43 is when you become diabetic. So mine was 78. And I think that's probably about the highest it's ever been. But as I say, it's been between 78, 74, and fluctuating between the two for quite some time. And it doesn't matter what I do. I can eat the cleanest, the healthiest, the most balanced meals, but it was making no difference. I was on a really strong dose of metformin, which of course makes you hungry. And so I felt like I was really in a no-win situation. So, as for my results this week, they're a mixed bag. Let me just say that. I'm going to start with my blood sugar first. So, I think the last time I made a video was on the 27th of October. And at that time, my blood sugars were trending between 8.5 and 7, with the odd one dropping below 7 to like 6.8, I think was the lowest. And that had been my first month where it had come down from 12.5 fasted, down to this kind of like 7.5 to 8.5. And then after meals, I was seeing this kind of 7.5 trend, occasionally going up to 8. So again, I was really pleased in that first month to see my blood sugar levels come down to what is considered uh, normal for type 2 diabetes. Then I had a week where I didn't, well, I had a few days without Mounjaro, and so that would have been the 28th, 29th, and the 30th. So on the 28th, my fasted blood sugar was 7.3. The 29th was 7.10, and on the 30th, so we're getting further away, was 8.4. So it was starting to creep up a little bit. And I know it can be an effect of what you've had to eat the day before or the length of time between. But I'm trying to keep, to take my fasted blood sugar about 11 hours after I finish my evening meal. So it just so that it's consistent. So it's not that I'm waiting a longer period of time. So consistently, I'm keeping it at about 11 hours. And so yeah, so it has started to creep up again. But my post 2 hour post meal blood sugars were quite good. So on the 28th it was 6.6, and that would have been the day I would have taken Mounjaro again, but I didn't. Then it went up to 7.7, and then the 30th was 7.5. So although I didn't have Mounjaro in my system, my body was coping with it quite well, um, which is good, because I was eating really healthily, really well balanced diet. Trying to eat 120 grams of protein, which if you're vegetarian is actually quite, I find quite difficult to do. And then my fiber goal was to eat 35 grams of fiber a day, and I was doing really well with that as well. Okay, so then I got my Mounjaro injection, sorry, and my blood sugar instantly came back down. So on the 31st, my fasting was 6.5. But then I jumped up the next day to 7.3, and then even further the next day went up to 8. But I had started taking antibiotics between the first and the second, and I think that's possibly the difference. Plus, I had quite a hectic day planned on the second, and I think I was a bit nervous, and that too can affect your blood sugar. So plus I've also noted that I only had 5.5 hours of sleep, so there wasn't much going for my body that day, so that I think explains it. But then the next day on the Monday, so that was not yesterday, before, my blood sugar came down to 6.5 fasted, then 7.1 the next day, and then today it was 6. So I'm really pleased with that figure. That's amazing. And my post meal sugar levels, so on the 31st, 7.8, which is good because it's under the 8.5. 7, 6.7, 6.8, and last night was 6.2. So again, I'm really pleased at the fact that it is slowly but surely coming down. So I'm now seeing more figures in the low sevens and high sixes. And well, today we've seen the last 24 hours, I've seen two low sixes, which is phenomenal to think that it's only been just over 5 weeks. So I am really, really pleased with that. Now, I did say in my last video that I'm not mentioning my weight just because I'm so ashamed of my weight, but I was doing fantastic, really, really well. So in the first 4 weeks, I lost 9.4 kilograms, and I was really pleased, chuffed to bits at losing that amount of weight. And then my body decided that it liked that loss of 9.4 kilograms, and it stayed at that for 5 days, which was fantastic. Good to be able to maintain it. And I have been recording daily, and I'll explain why in a minute. And then I dropped by half a kilogram, and I stayed at that for 2 days, and then I put on 2 kilograms. for no reason whatsoever other than I started taking antibiotics. Now, I don't think that the antibiotics are the reason they didn't make me gain weight. I think that what possibly happened is that I gained weight because my body was fighting an infection. It is probably retaining water because of that. I kind of have felt like I was going to have a period. Not that I know when I'm going to have that because I'm in the menopause. So I think there's a whole host of reasons why this could have happened. My body was probably just saying, wait a minute, I've had enough. I've lost a lot of weight really quickly. I need to rebalance, and I'm going to hold on to this for a little bit. Today, however, I have lost another half kilogram, and so I'm back down to having lost 8.4 kilograms, which is 1 stone and 4 pounds, or um, 18 and a half pounds, I think. So I'm really pleased at the fact that I've lost that. Lots of people have started noticing. I don't see it myself. My husband doesn't see it either. But I'm assuming that I have lost weight in my face, because that's obviously where people notice it from you first. I have noticed it in my trousers. I wear very soft fabric trousers with elasticated waists, and my plan is, because I don't want to be spending lots of money all every week on new clothes, but my plan is to just tighten the elastic a little bit until they become too droopy that I can't wear them. Have bought some new clothes on Vinted, a couple of pairs of trousers that are maybe a couple of sizes smaller. But yeah, fortunately, some of my trousers have got drawstrings on them, which, sound really granny pants here, but that's kind of handy because I can just pull it in. But I had to do that when I was having a blood test done this week. I was walking to the doctors and my trousers were falling down. So I'm really pleased at that. My non-scale victories this week have been that I can walk much further without having to stop to catch my breath. Normally, it would be every couple of minutes that I'd have to stop and catch my breath, but I've been able to walk much further this just now, and like I used to have to have a stool, or I still do have a stool, but I had to have a stool to be able to do to do anything in the kitchen. So I couldn't stand to do the dishes, I couldn't stand to chop vegetables or anything, and I was just really struggling. And those are the things that I really struggled with the most, that mentally struggled with, because I felt so not incompetent, because that's not the right word. I can't think of the word that I'm looking for. I felt incapacitated and ashamed of the fact that I can't do those things. And so I've noticed now that I can stand to do dishes, still need to have a sit down once I've done them, immediately after I've done them, but also too, I can stand to cook for a bit longer now as well. So for me, these are huge victories, and I'm just really, really pleased with the way things are going. So I did say that I weigh myself every day. So because I am having this prescribed by my GP, I need to be able to feed back data to them, as accurate data as I possibly can do. And so I agreed, as I say, I've been working with a dietitian, agreed that I would weigh myself every day, not because the scales define me, but because this is a very quick, easy way to determine if things are changing. So I'm looking at this simply as data. It is data. I'm not in control of whether my body loses weight or not. That's the other way that I'm looking at this. Um, all I'm in control of is what goes into my body and what I do with my body, as in exercise or movement. I'm not in control of what my body does when I put that food into my body. It's like a minefield and a world of its own. So I'm not concerned by what the scales tell me. I mean, obviously, if they were continuing to go up and up and up, I would be concerned, and I probably would contact somebody, because I'm also tracking my calories. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, but you're on Mounjaro, you don't need to track your calories, you can't eat very much. But I want to make sure that I'm eating enough as well as not overindulging. And I see Mounjaro as almost like, I said this to my friend yesterday, Mounjaro is like the willpower I don't have. And so it's like this magic dose of willpower that helps me to just think, oh, I want to eat healthy. I want to do this right. And the fact that my appetite is suppressed and curbed is just such a win for me. It's so nice not to be constantly thinking, oh, what am I going to eat? What can I have to eat now? Oh, I'm still hungry. I haven't, I don't feel satisfied. And but yeah, so for me, tracking my calories is really important. I'm on a 35-day streak on MyFitnessPal, and I kind of feel like really proud of that. I've tracked everything that I've eaten. Don't get me wrong, not every day do I do it accurately. So, for example, I don't always track my fruit and vegetables accurately. So, I've not always weighed a banana. I know that a banana, a medium sized banana, usually is about 100 to 110 grams. And so I kind of track it as that. Sometimes I'll only have half a banana, which is unheard of for me, but I'll track it as half a banana. I don't always track my broccoli or, you know, carrots or things like that, but I would track how much potato I'm eating, how much pasta or rice I was having. So I'd make sure that I'm eating the right kind of portion of that. I'm still following the rule of having my protein as my priority food. And so on my plate, the protein is the thing that I try to eat first. And then as I'm getting towards the end of the protein, I introduce the fiber. So any of my vegetables, I introduce that. And then um, I might have whatever's like, then as I'm getting towards the end of the fiber, I'll introduce some of the carbohydrate, the starchy carbs. So I'm just trying to live like that. And I'm finding that for me, that's working really well, because when I do get full and I think I don't want any more, it's the starchy veg that I'm leaving, or starchy carbohydrate that I'm leaving behind. So I'm finding that to be really, really beneficial to me. I also have been playing around, particularly last week. I played around with all the food that I could eat to get the best quality protein. Because, as I said, as a vegetarian, it can be quite difficult to get, well, I find it quite difficult to eat the volume of protein that you need. So last week I was really into having, I'm waiting for my groceries to come any minute now, but last week I was into having um, Greek yogurt for breakfast with about 10 to 12 grams of flaxseed, so that my fiber is up there. Sorry, that's my cat crying. Yes, hello, we hear you. Um, I would have that, and then I would have frozen berries like raspberries or blackberries, sometimes blueberries, in mixed in my yogurt, and that would be my breakfast. And it would be like 150 grams of Greek yogurt, so good protein. And then that would keep me full till lunch. Lunchtime, I would have quite a big lunch. I was having a slice of sourdough dough seeded bread with cottage cheese, and I'm not a fan of cottage cheese, but I fell in love with this Graham's cottage cheese that I got from Ocado. Um, so I had this cottage cheese with avocado and um, spring onion, and then two boiled eggs and some sliced beef tomato and a little bit of basil on top. And I mean, I'm actually fantasizing about it. I can't wait for my groceries to be delivered so that I can try that again. But yeah, just really enjoyed that. And then I eat corn, so I'd be having corn or beans. I have a lot of lentil soup. All these things that are helping me to get fiber in where I can. And the days where I'm really not hungry, the lentil soup has been a saving for me, because I've been able to consume that and not felt too full by having that. So yeah, I feel like things are going really well. I look forward to hopefully next week to having lost some weight, and rather than this up and down. But at the end of the day, my weight is just a byproduct of getting my diabetes under control. And that's the most important part for me. So thank you so much for hanging out this long with me. I hope that you've not fallen asleep, and that hopefully next week I'll be able to update you with some more exciting news. So until then, take care, look after yourselves, and I'll see you next week. Bye.